100% control. Work harder, soldiers. Sniper! New commander reporting for duty.
Right here.
Enemy units on the move. Enemy activity. Hostiles on the ground.
UAV transmitting
Enemy forces spotted.
Medic. We need support. Copy.
Enemy snipe. Enemy infantry spotted. First aid here.
Enemy activity. Enemy units on the move. Hostiles on the ground. Reinforcing. You copy? Enemy infantry. Enemy
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy infantry. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy units on the move. Negative.
Right here.
Enemy troops identified. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry. Enemy infantry spotted. We need reinforcements. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy units on the move. Hostiles on the ground. Sorry, man. Enemy troops. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy move out. Enemy units on the move. Enemy infantry spotted. We need reinforcing. Do you copy? Enemy activity. Enemy infantry spotted. I owe you one. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy forces spotted.
First aid right here.
Enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy forces spotted. Enemy units on the move. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV online and transmitting.
Enemy forces spotted. I need a medic quick. Enemy spotted. We've regained control. Good work, men. Enemy activity. Do you copy? I need a medic here. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted. Good deal, thanks.
Transmitting on this mark.
All clear. Position under control. Out. Thanks, Jim. 10-4. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Medic. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV online and transmitting.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Sniper. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy activity. Do you copy?
UAV online.
Enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy infantry spotted. Hostile forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy infantry spotted. Over. infantry. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry. Spotted. Medic. Enemy forces. Enemy forces. Spotted. Enemy infantry. Spotted. Hostile forces. Over. Enemy activity. Hostile forces. Hostile infantry. Spotted. Over. Hostile forces. Spotted. Over. Enemy units on the move. Do you copy?
UAV online and
Enemy forces. Enemy forces. Enemy forces. Spotted. Sniper. Spotted.
Do you copy?
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
Ammo, here!
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
Oh! Sorry!
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
Online and
Enemy forces. Enemy infantry spotted. Negatory. Roger that. No way, man. Attack this position. Thanks, Champ. Enemy forces spotted. Hostiles on the ground.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Grenade!
Supplies at your position. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted.
Frag grenade!
Requesting reinforcements.
Frag
Over.
grenade.
Enemy activity. All clear. Position under control. Over.
Get first aid! Here!
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy?
UAV online and transmitting.
Enemy troop!
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Snipers on our perimeter spotted. Over.
Clear! Alright, you're good to go.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy forces over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy infantry spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
control. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces over. Thanks. I owe you one. Sniper! Supplies at your position. Enemy troops identified. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy spotted. Thanks. I owe you one. Hostile forces spotted. Over.
UAV online and transmitting.
Attack this position. Enemy forces over. Snipers on our perimeter. on our perimeter. Enemy snipers. Enemy snipers spotted. Snipers!
UAV online and transmitting.
Hostile forces spotted. Hostile sniper spotted. Over. Enemy sniper spotted. Hostile sniper spotted. Over. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Thanks, champ. Enemy forces sniper. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Position cleared and enemy sniper. Enemy forces over. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV transmitting on
Hostiles on enemy sniper spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Okay. Move your men to these coordinates. Negative. Sorry, Chief. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry. Where are you going, soldier? Spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Supplies at your position. Enemy forces over. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Snipers on our perimeter.
Frag out!
Hey, thanks. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy units on the move. Position clear. Enemy forces. Enemy troops identified. You
Hold on.
copy?
All right, you're good to go.
Running dry. Thanks. Need ammo. Running dry. Need ammo. Over. Running dry. Need ammo. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Sniper spotted. Hostile spotted. Over.
UAV
Enemy infantry spotted. Sniper.
online and transmitting.
Hostile forces. Enemy forces spotted. Over. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Over. Enemy troop. Enemy forces sniper spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Reinforcing. You copy? Enemy forces. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy infantry spotted. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. 10-4.
Online and transmitting.
Thanks. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy on the move. Move out. Attack here. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Supplies at your position. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV online and transmitting.
Attack this position. Enemy forces over. Enemy forces spotted. Thanks, Tim. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Requesting ammunition, over. Affirmative. Requesting ammunition, over. Requesting ammunition, over. Supplies at your position. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Move out! Attack here!
Frag out! Frag out! Throwing frag!
UAV online and transmitting.
Get ammo! Gear! Grenade!
Enemy infantry! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy sniper spotted! Move out! Attack here! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy infantry spotted!
Spotted! Over.
UAV online and transmitting.
Frag out!
Enemy infantry spotted! 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 Supplies at your position. Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy troops are getting weed. Enemy forces over. Hostile forces. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Enemy troops.
UAV online and transmitting.
Hey, thanks. Enemy units on the move. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy spotted.
UAV online
Clear.
and transmitting.
First aid.
Medic! Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted.
Clear!
Supplies at your position. Enemy infantry spotted.
Medic!
Enemy infantry spotted. We've lost control of an outpost. Medic!
Good deal, thanks.
Move it! Medic! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy infantry spotted!
Throwing frag!
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Throwing frag!
Position cleared and under control.
Grenade! Ammo!
Medic!
Frag grenade! Get out!
Enemy force medic! Supplies at your position. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted.
UAV online and transmitting.
Here!
Medic!
Frag grenade! Hey, thanks.
Medic! Snipers on our perimeter! Snipers on our perimeter! Enemy forces over! Enemy infantry spotted. Over.
Ammo! Grenade! Frag grenade! Grenade! Throwing frag! Grenade! Grenade!
Offline.
Grenade! Grenade! Frag grenade!
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Supplies at your position. Enemy infantry. Enemy infantry spotted. Hostile forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Medic. I read you. Well done. Thank you. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry spotted. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy troops identified. You copy. Medic. Enemy forces spotted. Hostile forces. Hostile spotted. Over. Enemy spotted. Enemy forces spotted. I need a medic quick. You copy? Enemy infantry spotted.
I need a medic!
Hostile forces. Over.
UAV online.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted.
Good to go.
Thanks. Much appreciated. Medic.
Enemy units on the move.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry. Enemy infantry spotted. Supplies at your position. Enemy infantry spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy troops identified. You copy? Enemy spotted. Enemy forces over. Enemy activity. Enemy forces over. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy troops identified. You spotted. Over. Enemy spotted.
UAV online and
Enemy forces spotted. Roger that. Enemy infantry spotted. Supplies at your position. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy spotted.
UAV online and active.
Enemy units on the move. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy troops identified. Enemy spotted.
UAV transmitting on
Hostiles on the ground. Enemy units on the move. Medic troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy forces spotted. Thanks. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostile forces. Enemy units
you.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Well done. Thanks. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Enemy forces. Over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Running dry. Need ammo. Over.
Transmitting on this mark.
Enemy infantry spotted. You got it. Enemy infantry spotted. 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 Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Enemy. Lost control of an outpost. Move it. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy forces. Enemy infantry spotted. Supplies at your position. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy units on the move. Enemy infantry forces. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy troops.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Hostiles on the ground. Enemy troops identified. You spotted. Over. Hostile infantry on the ground. We've lost control of an outpost. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy spotted. Requesting ammunition. Over. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. On the move. Enemy units on the move. Supplies at your position.
UAV online.
Go! Requesting enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces, over. We need reinforcing. Do you copy? Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy troops identified. We need reinforcing. Do you copy? Enemy forces. Over. Damn it. Sorry. Hey, thanks. Enemy troops identified. Enemy spotted. Sorry, man. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. 10-4.
UAV is
Good deal, thanks.
Enemy
Infantry spotted.
UAV online and transmitting.
Damn it, sorry. Enemy units on the move. Enemy infantry spotted. Good deal, thanks. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. spotted. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted.
Online and transmitting.
Enemy units on the move.
Got it.
Thanks, champ. Enemy units on the move. Hostiles on the ground. Enemy forces over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Requesting ammunition. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Well done. Thanks. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Sorry, man. Hostiles on the ground. Damn it, sorry. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Running dry. Need ammo. Over.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Move out! Attack here! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy infantry spotted! Enemy forces spotted! Enemy infantry spotted! Thanks. I owe you one.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Infantry spotted. Sorry, man. Damn it. Sorry. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Thanks. Hostile forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy identified. Do you copy? Enemy forces. Over. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy?
UAV online and
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV online and transmitting.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy spotted.
Throwing flash.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Sorry, man. Sorry, man. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Over.
UAV online and
Running dry. Need ammo. Over. Medic to this position. Over. Attack this position. Medic! Running dry. Need ammo. Over. Requesting a medic. Over.
Ammo, right here. Frag out. Clear. All good.
Enemy forces spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy infantry spotted. Medic! Damn it, sorry. Enemy spotted.
Clear. All right.
Hey, thanks. Enemy infantry spotted. Running dry. Need ammo. Over.
UAV online and
spotted. Enemy infantry spotted.
UAV transmitting on this
Enemy
mark.
units on the move. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Hostile forces spotted. Over.
UAV online and transmitting.
Thanks. We need ammo. I owe you one. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy units on the move. Do you copy?
UAV offline. UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy troops. Damn it. Enemy forces. Over. Hostiles on the ground. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Running dry. Need ammo. Over. Enemy infantry spotted. Let's bingo on ammo. Do you copy? Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy?
Transmitting on this mark.
Enemy troops identified. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Damn it. Sorry. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy spotted. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy?
Online and transmitting.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Sorry, man. Hostiles on the ground. Enemy infantry spotted. Roger that. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy order. Damn it, sorry. Medic. Snipers on the perimeter. Move out. Attack infantry spotted. Over. We've lost control of an outpost. Enemy forces spotted. Thanks. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy units on the move. Position cleared and under control. Okay. We need ammo. Enemy troops. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy forces spotted. Thanks. Enemy forces. Over. Sorry, man. Enemy activity. Copy. Do you copy? Enemy forces. Over. Sniper. Enemy forces. Over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Damn it. Sorry. Enemy activity. Do you copy? reinforcements, over. Enemy troops! Enemy forces, over. Sniper! Enemy forces, over. Enemy troops! Hostile infantry spotted, over. Do you copy? Hostile force, over. Over. Running dry. Need ammo. Over.
UAV online and transmitting.
I'm bingo on ammo. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy activity. Do you copy? Supplies with your position. Enemy units on the move on ammo. Do you copy? Sorry, man. Damn it. Sorry, man. All clear. Position under control. Out. Sorry. No way, man. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Infantry spotted. Over. Being overrun. Hit it. Let's move. Sorry, man. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Sorry, man. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Position cleared and under control.
UAV offline.